Council, and she's part of the RNC. She was sponsored by Ms. Anna Chennault, wife of General Claire Chennault of the Flying Tigers. She was appointed as confidential assistant for the Deputy Director of Minority Business Development Agency and Department of Commerce during President Ronald Reagan's term. She worked on the Reagan and Bush campaign, also served as the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Department of Labor, in charge of all of our Pacific Islander territories like Guam, American Samoa. She was also a Peace Corps Director for Cameroon, and was appointed by President Reagan. She was also a journalist in South Africa, Algeria, Morocco, Sierra Leone, and she had a weekly column in the Ethiopian News. She was appointed Department Head of Minority Business at Fannie Mae headquarters, has also served as a Dallas area rapid transit metro system. She retired in 2011 and is now a consultant with, and had worked as a marketing partner, increasing the business tenfold for an LED lighting and steel fabrication firm. She was also a national chair of OCA Women's, and so OCAW Women's Organization. So I'm pleased to have her as a part of the family, because I too am president of the local Washington, D.C. OCA organization. So she's a very distinguished guest, and I think she's been involved in the downtown arena for so many years that we'll just have a few minutes of her to share a little bit about her journey and words of wisdom from all of her wonderful expertise. All right, let's give a hand to Katherine Chang. Dress.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so pleased to be here, very honored. Thank you for inviting me. You know, I have so many things to share, but first thing I want to tell you, as a result of Dr. Wu's facial things, I've been sick for 1 whole year. I've been in the hospital. I've not been able to move for quite a long time. So I'm very pleased that I'm finally better and can make this trip here and can walk around. So advertising for her, okay? But more than anything, I want to share these particular points in my life that has something to do with what you're doing today. I am a cancer survivor, breast cancer, okay? This is now my 20th year free of cancer. Thank you. In Dallas, Texas, where I am now, we are very concerned about West Nile disease, and we're very concerned about Zika, and there's a lot of mosquitoes around, so it's such a threat for many women, especially young women who might be pregnant, because babies come out of Zika with deformed heads, as you well know, and that is a definite scare, because you can't prevent yourself from being bitten by mosquitoes every now and then. So it's a serious concern. Also, everybody over down there have had to take pneumonia shots, the particular pneumonia, because so many older people now are everywhere. We are of that generation, and all the pneumonia scares are terrific out there. I've had pneumonia 9 times in my life already, so I have to be very careful, because I don't want to watch for the 10th time. And then people have had shingles. A lot of people have had shingles. I've had shingles actually myself when I was 14. I'm a survivor of that too. And then I was on a plane in the month when they didn't have pneumonia shots and flu shots. I was on the plane going from here back to Dallas. I was perfectly fine like I am now. When I got on the plane, I was crawling to get out, because one gentleman, probably from Hong Kong, coughed in the plane, okay? So I didn't get SARS maybe, but I got the cousin of SARS. So I'm a survivor of that. I was in 1 month sick the whole time, yeah. So anyway, so pleased to be with all of you. Asian Heritage Month is very important to all of us. In fact, the chairman of OCAW after me is the lady who was in Congress, who helped her congressman make Asian Heritage Week to Asian Heritage Month. So, you know, we all have to try very hard to do what we can, contribute not only for yourself and your well-being, your family's well-being, but what we can do for the community. I'm still active in the communities. And then, of course, know the tricks to get promotions and to get best performance appraisals, which are very important, but there are tricks to learn in that. When I was the confidential assistant to the Deputy Director of Minority Business Development Agency, Department of Commerce, I was so lucky. Well, I was lucky, but I was all unlucky because I was the only confidential assistant. So I had to clear all his in and out box, and I had to help him do all the performance appraisals for hundreds of more people. And that was a lot of work, but there's a trick, you know, you learn. Not many people share this with us, and we Asians have to learn, not only is it important to have a mentor, but when you're there, or before you're there, mentor other people. You know, other minorities have done very well because they do that mentoring. You know, we can't just say, oh, this one went up there, oh, why can't I did it, why wasn't me, that kind of thing. No, feel think, how did they get there, okay? And then mentor other people because we are so few. Look at us, okay? I belong to the, what's the organization? I'm sorry, I had concussion, so I can sometimes not remember. But, you know, the organization of us in the government, Asians. What's that called? Okay, whatever, okay. We gotta help and do these things. We gotta help the younger people. But we have to help our younger people get up there, become, you know, those things. Elaine Chow, you know, when I was in Minority Business Development Agency, she was a White House intern, okay? And, you know, see how she's risen, how she has contributed, but she didn't do it alone. She had several mentors, including General Anna Chennault, General Chennault's wife, including several, Julia Chang Block, who was, you know, very successful, Sam Mark, who was CFO. These are people that are few on top and they try to help others. And this is what we all have to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Catherine. I do appreciate your stopping by and joining us for a few minutes and sharing your wisdom with us. We are now going to that was Katherine Chang. Okay. We are now going to move to a very moving testimony and inspirational message from a story of a survivor. Professor Dorita de Lima Down had taught and lectured on international economic development at universities, chambers of commerce, and businesses throughout Americas, and reached an honorary professorship at the Universidad Lomas de Zamora in Buenos Aires, Argentina. She is multilingual with English, French, Spanish, German being her preference, but she also speaks Italian, Portuguese, and some Dutch. Today, she is very humbly telling us about her health journey, and so it's an inspirational message about physical, mental, and spiritual survivorship. So please help me welcome Professor Dorita de Lima Down.
Forgive me that I use a cane, but I fell about 3 weeks ago, and I bruised my hip, and the damn thing hurts. Okay? But thanks to Macy and her treatments, I can walk, and I'm here. Now, I want to say hello to everyone. Hello. And let me engage your brain for a minute. The brain you have put to use this morning, listening to all these exceptional individuals, representing the various federal agencies, share with you and tell you how and why you should become a government contractor. It's really not that difficult, though it can sound very frightening. You have a decision to make to determine in which area you want to focus. Then you need to get all your corporate materials to tell the story of your company and why the agency of your preference should give you a contract. This could be your stumbling block. You have a lot of thinking to do about the manner in which you will make your own lasting presentation and through which you will receive that much earned and desired contract. And then more and more as you get to know the ropes and they believe and trust you and your company. It can be done easily. All it needs is a good head for business, a forthright, clean presentation with no errors, sounding and being truthful, easy to read, good writing, listening, and speaking skills, and the desire to succeed. But let's go a bit further. You have spent a good portion of your time designing and developing a strong and healthy company. You have dedicated hours and hours preparing an intriguing, comprehensive presentation directed at your prospective client needs. And deep down in your core, you know you can fill that need. All you need is the opportunity to make it work. But hold on a minute. Do you remember the phrase, because of the lack of a nail, the horse became lame, and so forth? Well, that applies to us as well. We don't need a nail. What we need is health, spelled with a capital H. Let's take it step by step. What did you have for breakfast this morning? Think about it. Or did you prefer to just run out of the house with nothing but a hot cup of coffee so that you would arrive at today's conference on time? Let me see a show of hands. How many of you know that breakfast is the most important meal of the day? This means that unless you have something to eat in the morning, your organism will have gone without food for well over 10 to 12 hours. Can you do that during the day? Of course not. You would be ravenous. Yet you allow yourself that from evening to morning, in fact, many people on this globe only have one meal in every 24 hours. And that meal is usually in the morning. Something to consider. Yet some of you do that quite often, and then you wonder why you get sick. And then when you get sick, you go to the pharmacy or the doctor to prescribe some chemical which will hopefully clear up your ailment as soon as possible so you can get back on your feet. What are you doing? Let me share my story with you. When I was where you are today, I did not think about these things either. Often my days were so filled that there was little, if any, time to eat properly. A bite here, a soda there, and that was it. Sometimes while running, I would grab a candy bar. and hope it would bind me over till the next scheduled meal. Like you, I would not listen to what my body was telling me, but I was too busy. But my body learned very early on that if I would not listen, it would make me listen. I developed a series of illnesses and maladies which were really very uncomfortable. Surgeries after surgeries, bronchitis every time I got off an airplane, migraines to the point of losing consciousness, you name it, I had it. Then came 2003. My husband decided he had worked enough during his life and decided to really retire. My mother died suddenly. My son had been widowed that year before, and my grandson did not allow himself to grieve. I stopped working heavily. I stopped traveling for business, and I thought I could get my body back into shape. But then in November of that year, the worst came, a stroke. Never had I dreamed that something so vicious, so horrifying, so agonizing could befall me. But my body was getting even with me. For all the years, when many meals I had not had, for the many hours I failed to sleep, the unforgiving stress I allowed to enter into my being, my husband started to decline slowly, and worry became my middle name. Where could I turn? To whom could I speak? Who could help me? The answer was no one. I had to rely on myself. Yes, I had many friends, but those that were close to me were not available because they had their own problems. Fortunately, I did have a friend whom I called that morning. He came, helped me get dressed, took me to the hospital where I was treated for stroke. To this day, an X-ray will show the exact location with a scar on the brain. The hospital was very uncomfortable because every hour on the hour, vital signs had to be taken, and the idea of sleeping was lost in the interim. I came home after several days wondering what to do next. But there was no next. What happened was that very deep depression that often accompanies stroke hit me. The depression is probably formed because the brain is very sick and needs to be allowed to heal, but heal on its own terms, not on those that you desire it to follow. A very complicated situation, but when analyzed, makes good sense. Yet somehow I could not pull out of the depression on my own. Medication and medical treatment did not help. I had to do it myself. I vegetated for close to a year, often thinking about suicide, often wondering why I was on earth and what was my purpose. It took a good year, and then one night I awoke and looked at my inner core, only to discover that it was time to really heal. And heal I did. The following morning I awoke. I don't remember the day, but it seemed as if the sun was shining and everything was all right. I started to get a hold of myself and decided that since I had such a terrible aftermath, I should provide volunteer work at the hospital for others who suffered stroke. This I did for about 6 months, when another stroke survivor called asking me to join a support group for other stroke survivors and their caregivers. This I did, only to discover that this support group really was not effective. They helped no one except themselves. I decided it was time to do something different. The other stroke survivor and I had become friends
and about getting our minds together, we decided to form a nonprofit to teach, educate, train, support, and assist people at risk for stroke and those who had been victimized learn to live again. It was great fun. We were helping people who never thought they could be helped. Our presentations were easy to understand, considering we had most people with a third-grade education. It worked. We helped save some people from anxiety, from boredom, from depression, and really from themselves. They learned how to better their eating habits, how to control their diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, learned that the human body is desperate for exercise, and gave them support necessary to feel good. We kept a log of all our attendees, and at the end of the course, we showed them the results. It was truly amazing. They themselves loved their new bodies. They were healthier. They were alive, in love with life by changing their lifestyles. Slowly, word spread around the area. Many groups called to have the presentation lectures offered to their groups. Radio and television stations invited us to proclaim our method to listening and viewing audiences on local, state, and national level. Magazines and periodicals interviewed us and asked questions as how we decided to go on this highway. It was easy because we were having fun. We made oodles of friends, and often the calls would come at all hours of the day and night. We also worked at the government level, having received a contract to do this work. It felt good to help people. It felt good to have something viable to do, but it was stressful. And that was exactly what I had been told not to allow. But again, I did not listen. And for 7 years, we worked across Montgomery County and Prince George's County in schools, churches, clinics, hospitals, community centers, who again and again wanted to hear our presentation. And then it happened, the second stroke. The second stroke hit in September 2012, but not as intensive as the first, but still very deep inside the brain where all the major blood vessels congregate. I was told to stop all activities, to not allow to be stressed, to go on vacation, not to think about anything, just allow the brain to heal and get well. I had to give up my do good work, stop giving lectures, and try to contain myself to give the brain the necessary time it needed. Since then, I have done a lot of writing. I enjoy writing, especially memoirs and for other people. In fact, this past December, my son received as his birthday present a memoir of my first 25 years. He found it fascinating, never realizing or knowing of the many things and events that had occurred to me, his mother, prior to his birth. I have 3 other people who have asked me to write their memoir. In fact, our dear Vivian has been speaking to me about doing hers while she was growing up in Korea. But she's such a busy person, we shall have to wait until she has more time to think what she wants such a book to contain about her early years. And now, another stress factor hits me. I have just been widowed. My husband died last January after more than 5 years of illness, getting weaker every year. We had expected his demise sooner, but he, being obstinate, fighting for life every inch of the way, not accepting alternatives, and refusing help, decided to remain here on earth as long as possible. Even though we are prepared for the final event of a loved one, when it finally hits, You don't expect the emotions to go haywire as they do. Listen to me. I have just experienced it. It's very difficult, it's very frustrating, because you feel at any moment where you are going, where you are, he's going to appear. Or the phone rings, and you believe he is calling, but it's not so. The dreams you dream bring those memories alive, and you know you are dreaming, but you don't want to wake up. You try to keep them going because it feels good. But life is not a dream. Life is reality, which we have to face without fear, without remorse, without feeling sorry, but with a positive attitude because we are still alive. Now you tell me, how old am I? 50. This is a little game I enjoy playing. When you hear the answer,
50, raise your hand.
how old am I?
50. All you 50 years old. Raise your hand. Okay?
90.
I have a son, I have a grandson, and both of those guys think I walk on water. Now it's your turn. I am 89 years old. Now you want to know why and how. What do I do with myself to look the way I do? Well, first and foremost, I go to Macy. I eat a wholesome breakfast every morning, fruit, cereal, tea. I drink plenty of water during the day. I usually exercise during the day in some form or another, and what she showed you is what I do every day. I do it in the morning, and I do it in the evening. I can't right now because of this stupid hip, but I do the upper part. I usually exercise during the day in some form or another and walk whenever I can. As of 2 weeks ago, I decided that I have the right to have a glass of red wine with my dinner, once in a while. Lunch is usually something light, followed by a piece of fruit, either the lunch or about 3:30 p.m. Dinner is quiet, protein of some type, vegetable or salad, and light dessert, mostly of cooked fruit. I go to bed between 9:30 and 10:30 p.m. and wake up between 6 and 7 a.m., raring to go. I don't use an alarm clock. I haven't in I don't know how many years. Right now, I'm getting ready to travel again. Having already been to Dallas, to Pennsylvania, to Virginia, I leave for St. Louis at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, and on June 14th, bye-bye USA, hello Germany.
Wow.
For 3 months. Besides that, I have a contract with my doctor. He keeps me well, and I follow his instructions so that I will live beyond 100 years, for sure. Longevity seems to be in the air, so why not? Then I propose to write another book called The Fifth Age, The Age of the Centenarian. I've already written and published The Third Age, for people just retiring in their late 60s, and am in the process of finishing for publication The Fourth Age, for people in their 80s. These nonfiction books can help you learn about life in general, will show you how to feel well and above all, to have a positive attitude at all times. Learn to say no when it is important that you allow your body to rest. Learn to say no when your mind is going round and round and you wonder what will happen next. Look in the mirror at your image glance at that image deeply and say to it, I like you, but really mean it. You will see what it does for your morale. In fact, I would recommend that you do this daily until you are pleased with yourself and know who you are and why. After a while, you will discover what you really want out of your life, how you propose to design and develop a plan of action over a good period of time. Certainly nothing happens overnight. But let me tell you this in confidence. You must do it alone. Don't share with anybody. Just with yourself, not your husband, not your mother, not your father, not your children. Just you alone. Learn to become your best friend. And then come talk to me. We have gone from how to be effective in business to how to maintain a positive attitude through good health. Isn't that what life is all about? What do you think? Thanks.
Thank you, Dorita. She's so inspiring and inspirational for me, and I wanna be like her when I'm 89. That's for sure. Okay, so let's. I hope you all had lunch. You're done. Good. And I want to bring somebody who I'm still having goosebumps from this morning. Dr. Park, please come up here again, and she's going to sing God Bless America.